Good evening. My name is Ralph, and I'm a Vietnam veteran. Um, when I was doing family genealogy, I found out that my ancestors built privateer ships for the Revolutionary War in Kittery, Maine. It's right across from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where the Navy base is now. So I was drafted into the Army in 1969, and I was a conscientious objector to the war, but they took me anyway. I said, I'll serve, but I'm not going to shoot. And so they took me, they started training me as a combat medic. They sent me to Fort Sam Houston. I talked to the sergeants there and I said, I'm a college grad. I have experience with computers. I can program, etc., etc. So they interviewed me and I didn't hear anything. I kept training as a combat medic. And then all of a sudden I got orders to go to Colorado Springs with NORAD. And about a year later, I had orders to go to Vietnam. And so I spent a year in Vietnam in 1970 to 71. I was 24 years old when I went over there, so I was a little more senior. I was also married and still married to the same woman. But so I was a senior when I got there, so I wasn't as gung-ho as the 18, 19-year-olds. I didn't see any combat, but it still had an effect on me. I didn't realize it till a few years later after I got back. Um, One of the highlights of my tour over there, because I was a conscientious objector, um, a non-combatant, I used to go into Saigon and get together with others like myself. And one weekend we were down there. They brought in about 50 Viet Cong prisoners, and we sat there and we spent the day with them. We talked with them through translators. We ate with them. I remember these Viet Cong prisoners, they were about 14, 15, 16 years old. They'd been drafted like we had been. And I said, I don't hate you. I didn't come here to kill you. And I remember them touching the hairs on my chest, the hairs on my arms, because they don't have that. And but we spent the day together, so that was quite a moving experience for me. To just communicate with them and tell them that our government sent us here just like theirs did, and I had no ill will towards them. When I came back, there was no welcoming committee. There was nobody that said, welcome home, vet. There was nobody that said, thank you for your service. I remember just getting discharged and going, and I hung up my uniform in the closet, and that was the last I talked about the war. I didn't talk about it with anybody. I didn't tell people I had served there. Um, and it took about 10 years before I guess I came out of the closet. A lot of that came out in the 80s, probably about the mid 80s, early 80s. And we started talking about it, and we realized that even if we weren't in combat, it still had an effect on us. I remember the Vietnam Wall, the portable wall that travels around the United States to different cities, came and they set it up, and I went down there and I just looked at some of the names of people I knew, and I just sat there and I cried and I cried and I cried, and there was just a lot of things pent up inside me that I had to let out. And this happened more than once. It's been a healing experience, and I was glad to serve, and yet I question some of the politics, that leads up to war, why we're there in the first place, and I don't believe everything the politicians tell me now, so I'm kind of a skeptic that way. But anyway, that's my experience. Bye.